with emotional intelligence, you're able to see a lot of things, right? We have individuals that are driven, that bring results, but we have a lot of tension sometimes in organizations, and that is because we've found that a lot of people are not self-aware, and self-awareness is a part of emotional intelligence.
Welcome to StorWealth Conversations, Unlocking Financial Freedom, the podcast that gives you the tools, insights, and principles to build a stronger financial future, no matter where you're starting from. Hosted by Charlene Storr, a certified public accountant and financial coach. This podcast is your space to learn, reflect, and take action. For over 25 years, Charlene has helped high net worth families grow and protect their wealth. And just as passionately, she's helped individuals, families, and small businesses do the same. Today's conversation, starting with the 9 to 5, is all about building wealth from where most of us begin, on the job. We'll explore how showing up, working smart, and staying consistent can lead to promotions, raises, side hustles, and even your own business. Joining Charlene in the conversation is Lashonda L. Seymour, Human Resources Manager at the Private Trust Corporation Limited, where she served for over 17 years. She's a senior certified professional and people analyst, a certified coach for engagement and performance, and a predictive index practitioner. Lashonda brings a deep passion for helping people from the entry level to executive leadership and believes your career can be the launchpad to financial freedom, if you know how to use it. If you're ready to make your 9 to 5 work for your future, lean in and let the unlocking begin.
Lashonda, welcome to StorWealth Conversations.
Thank you.
Can you share with us your own journey on the 9 to 5?
Well, it all started when I came out of high school, right? Freshly graduated out of high school looking for a job. And the job that I went to, which is the private trust, they were looking for someone to provide tea, coffee for the clients and also do like cleaning for the office. So I said, okay, once again, no qualifications, no experience. It was something that I decided to do. So as I was doing that, I also would start learning different things. So Excel, Microsoft Word, things like that. And what happened is that my manager at the time, there was a client that needed someone to input stuff into Excel. And she had heard that I was teaching myself how to do it. And she pretty much plucked me and actually sent me into the client. I inputted all of the information. He said, you know what, this is a good employee, so to speak. Technically, he gave rave reviews. And because of that, I elevated to another department. So came from being the tea lady or cleaner to actually working in the filing room. From the filing room, I worked in corporate. From corporate, I went into administration. And while I was in administration, there were certain things that I saw around the office in terms of the employees. And one of the directors at the time, I approached him on it. And he said to me, you know what, Lashonda, you would make a great HR. So because of that, I was sent off to college. I took up the bachelor. I have a Bachelor of Commerce degree with a certificate in HR. So I came back and I understudied the previous HR manager there, got several HR certifications, and then now I'm the HR manager at the Private Trust Corporation Limited.
And I guess that is why your bio says that every entry-level employee as an HR manager, you're training them for the top position.
Yes.
Because you're living proof of that.
I am living proof of that. And everybody that, come into my office at an entry-level position, I tell them that story. I tell them the same thing. Listen, it doesn't matter where you start. It's where you finish, basically.
So then, how for your employees that's sitting in the front of you, how do you convince them that a strong performance is important, even if this isn't their dream job?
Well, what I try to say to them is that the current position that you are in, it helps, or it's a stepping stone for the next position. And I'll use the example of filing. So when you're filing, one of the key things you have to do is pay attention to detail, right? It's all about remaining confidential. Anything that you see, you don't speak about it. So let's say, for example, now you want to elevate into another position. When you go into the next position, being confidential is one of the key things, paying attention to detail. So what I try to say to them is master what you're doing now, because those are the stepping stones to help propel you into the next position.
What are promotable employees doing different from those that don't see promotion?
So what I've found is that the promotable employees, those are the ones that know where they want to go. Right? And let me explain that. So technically, they already have a map in their head as to where they want to go in their profession. They take ownership, and that's the difference between someone who is promoted and someone who is just idle in the organization. So the one who takes ownership, they realize that, okay, if I don't have the necessary skills, I'm going to get the necessary skills. So that is, let's say, learning a new skill, or perhaps honing on the skill that they have. They also look at the organization and they look at problems. So what they tend to do now is they try to find solutions for those problems. They also build relationships. And so they demonstrate the need for the organization as well as leadership skills. So those are some key things that I see are the differences between promotable and those who are just existing.
So in practical terms, I'm on a job.
Yes.
The 9 to 5.
Yes.
That's hard to get up and come to every day.
Yes.
But I know I need to make more money. Mm-hmm. Where should my focus be? Or do I just walk in and say, I think I need a raise?
No. Now, that's funny because a lot of times, let me say this. If we could pay people $1 million, we definitely would, right? But you have to be able to show your value. You have to show why it is that you should be paid $1 million. And so what I've found is that you have some individuals who want the raise, but they didn't do their preparation. So for an example, you come in, okay, what is the pay rate for the particular job that you're doing? What is the increase that you want, a percentage? What have you done differently that warrants the pay raise? In terms of education, do you have any new skills, right? So the first thing that I would say to somebody is see where you are now. Look at your skill set, and try to reduce any skill gaps there are. How you do that? Once again, learning. Right? So making sure that you learn a new skill or just develop or perfect the skills that you have.
Does learning ever stop? I mean, you went from almost a Girl Friday, I think is what we used to call those positions back in the day, mm-hmm. to HR manager. Mm-hmm. Has your learning stopped?
No, it has not. As a matter of fact, for me, I think that in life, you have to continuously learn. And I have a personal philosophy, and my philosophy is every year I will learn a new skill, or I will get a certification, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I have been doing. So it never stops. And I think for me, it has helped me with my relationship with my bosses as well as with the employees, because I try to find ways to better their experiences, right?
So for the person who says, I've done some certifications, I have, as far as I'm concerned, elevated myself, but I still haven't gotten a promotion. I still haven't gotten a raise. What's your response to something like that?
Well, sometimes it depends on the organization as well, right? And when I say that, I mean in terms of, is the organization doing well, right? The financial health of the organization may not be where it should be. And so asking for a pay raise or not receiving a promotion, that may be because the organization is not in a position to do it. And then the final thing is that sometimes you have outgrown that organization. And I know it's easier said than done to say just pick up and leave, but that's the reality of it. If you find that you are continuously learning, you're finding solutions, you're doing all of these things, and you're not being promoted, let me just say this. I would say emotional intelligence is very important. So just make sure that it is not the relationship aspect of things, because you could be focused on, results. You can be continuously learning. But if you have damaging relationships, then that may be another reason why you're not being promoted. But let's just say you're the one that has a beautiful relationship with everyone, certifications, deliver results, and you're not being promoted, then you've outgrown the organization.
For that particular person, the time and effort for certifications and learning, is it lost because I didn't get the promotion?
No, it's not lost. I always say to people, regardless of what your organization may do for you, at the end of the day, those certifications are yours. You take them and you go with them. The skills that you have learned is yours for life, right? With those skills, you're able to propel yourself into another organization if you choose to do that, or even your own business.
Yes. Have you seen anyone that used their job as the platform to go into business?
Yes.
Whether that's a business that's similar to what they're doing or something completely different.
So I do have a friend, and it was in terms of something he was already doing. So he was working for a major car company where he was one of the servicemen, right? So he would service cars throughout the day, and he became very good at it. So what he started to do was service cars when he's off from work, then on weekends. And eventually he had so many different clients, he left the 9 to 5 to open up his own service business.
So that sounds like doing the exact same job.
Yes.
Because I assume he was in car service.
Yes,
so
he was.
He was learning the trade,
right,
which he then converted into his own business.
Correct.
What about someone who is, the firm you're with is a financial services firm?
It is, yes.
So does that mean everyone coming out of that is going into financial services? Or where I'm trying to go with that question is, are there skills that's transferable whether or not it's in the same industry?
Yes. I mean, the thing is that you have to look, and I use toolkit, right? Or toolbox. So you have to look into your toolbox and see what it is that is marketable, or what it is that can, let's say, for example, go into a new business, right? So yes, with him, he went into servicing cars because that's what he did. In terms of, let's say, speaking with people, if that makes sense.
People interaction.
Yeah, people or employee relations, accounting, different things like that. I think there are skills that are transferable to a new position. You just have to figure out what they are and then develop them.
How does showing up strong in the 9 to 5 carry over into other areas like saving, investing, or even starting a new business?
It's all about discipline and having a plan. So the same way you have discipline on the job, you also have to have discipline when you are trying to invest and when you're trying to save. You should always also have a plan. So the plan is to grow, develop yourself in a 9 to 5. The same thing too with investing and saving, where you are now and where you want to go, and developing that.
I assume from an HR management perspective, your focus is more than just what's happening on the job. Because to me, an HR manager is an interesting balance, because you represent both the interests of the employer and the interests of the employee. So outside of, yes, let's skill up and make sure we're solving problems, etc., on the job, what about the non-job related side, the balance between being an employee and being an individual, a mother, a wife, whatever? How does that play out from an HR perspective in terms of how you steer your team?
So work-life balance is very important, right? And it is difficult in this day and age to strike that balance. But one of the things that I've realized as an HR professional is that in order for the work to be done, you have to make sure that the employees are happy, right? You have to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. And that transpires into personal life too as well. If you're not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of someone else or something else? So when we look at the HR profession, yes, you have to be the balance between the employer and the employee, but then you also have to look at the employees holistically. Their personal lives, not getting into their personal life, but in terms of, okay, what's going on, what's happening, how can I make it better so that you can produce on the job?
So does that mean your training includes more than what I would call the hands-on skills for the job?
Yes. So I recently implemented something called Workshop Wednesdays at the organization that I'm at. And one of the things that one of the things that we have there is that not only do we discuss the policies of the organization or give training on that, I also try to invite people in terms of finances, in terms of life insurance, in terms of mental health, these different things to try to get my team, at a place where they are not only comfortable on the job, but comfortable in everyday life. Things that can help them, once again, not only on the job, but in their personal life as well.
I often say it's hard enough to get up and go to your 9 to 5 every day. Mm-hmm. You have to love what you do. Mm-hmm. What do you say to the person who, it's hard for me to get up and go to work every day. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure I love what I do. Sure. What's your advice to them from an HR professional perspective?
You just have to do it. I mean, the thing is that self-motivation is key. And a lot of people believe that they have self-motivation, but in actuality, this is what self-motivation is. Well, what I see it as. Self-motivation says, I don't want to get up to that 9 to 5, but I have to get up to that 9 to 5. Self-motivation says, I did this job, but nobody is patting me on the back, but the job still has to be done. Self-motivation said, okay, I did not get the raise. I was not promoted, but you know what? I'm still going to do the job to the best of my ability. Why? Because I motivate myself. I'm not motivated by external factors. So to that person, I say you just have to get up and do it.
So if I'm burnt out then, mm-hmm. And true confession, mm-hmm. I've had moments of burnout where the motivation is a little harder to kick in. Mm-hmm. How do you regroup? Because again, the whole purpose of this conversation is using our 9 to 5 mm-hmm. as our starting line mm-hmm. towards wealth generation. So that means I have to show up. This mm-hmm. is earned income. If I don't show up, I don't get paid. Right. So for the person who says, I'm burnt out mm-hmm. and I motivate myself, but it's not there in this season, because mm-hmm. I think for most of us it's seasons. How do we get past that so that we continue to be the employee that's solving problems, etc.?
Well, first off, once again, you have to take time for yourself. Now, whether or not that is vacation, right? Regrouping. That's one of the key things for vacation. You have to take it so that you could regroup. You have to take a break from the organization so that you can, relax and calm yourself. Now, to that person, what I would say to them is figure out where you are now and where you want to be. So yes, you may be burnt out. Yes, you don't like your 9 to 5. But the question is that do you want to stay where you are? And if you want to stay where you are, then by all means do nothing. But if you want to propel yourself into something else, you have to show up.
Show up and show out.
Show up and show out. Yes, definitely.
All right. So if you had an advice to give to someone on the 9 to 5, who, like I said, is going through this, should I be here? Is it time to move? How do I shake it off and keep going? What's your advice to them if they're stuck?
Well, I can use my example. So yes, I've been in the HR industry for a very long time. And at one point I was just like that, burnt out. I always wondered, why am I here? What can I do? Get up, same thing over and over again. And so what I did was I had to shift my mindset. And what I did was I said, you know what, instead of me thinking of it as just a 9 to 5, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be creative with it. So the particular job that I'm doing, how can I do it differently, right? How can I better serve my team? How can I better serve the organization? And so because I had to shift my mindset, when I did that, it became a whole new job for me, right? And then also too, what it is that you have to figure out once again where you are. What are you doing it for? Why? Where does your job fit in the entire organization? Look for ways to solve issues in the organization. Once again, for a burnt out person, what they would have to do is they would have to regroup first. And I want to make that clear. You cannot do something else if you're burnt out. So you have to recharge, reboot. And once you've done that, then shift your mindset and shift it so that it's a new perspective on what you're doing and where you want to go.
Is it possible within an organization to change careers? In other words, you come in one field, decide this doesn't work for me. What's the path to first identify where to shift to and then make that shift?
Exactly what you said. So if you come in as, in one job position or an industry and you feel as though, no, I want to go into another industry, the first thing you would do is research, right? So when you research, you see what the plan is to get or to make that shift. So let's say, for an example, you're in HR and you want to do compliance, right? So there are different certifications that you can do, in order to get into compliance. So you start by then looking or researching the job, and then you make steps in order to get to that. And then once you've done that, you can shift, right? So it's all about research, time, and effort.
If I could share my own story, when I came out of high school, I was convinced I wanted to do something in the field of medicine because biology was a strong subject for me and I really enjoyed it. Tried to go into nursing. They told me I was too young. Come back in a year. I couldn't just sit for the year, so I took on a clerical position doing some bookkeeping. I decided that I liked that, liked earning the money, so I didn't want to go back to studying. And in due course, ended up pursuing a degree in accounting. Started out in an accounting firm, then went to a trust company where I manage a team that has nothing to do with accounting. And then I find myself as a financial coach, all accounting. Talk to me about moving through different fields to whatever the space is, because I don't know that I knew where I was going to end up. It was a bit of a journey. And so from a human resource management perspective, how do you navigate those fields? Most of what I ended up doing, I probably landed on, some of it by trial and error. But if someone was sitting in the front of you and saying, I'm not sure I'm where I want to be, how do I go about identifying what and where?
So the first thing you would have to look at is the current skills that you have, right? So once you've already identified what the current skills that you have, you now look at, like you said, what it may be that you feel you're good at, right? And not all the times what we're good at is a profession that we'll, go into. But when you look at the skills that you have and you look at what you want to do, right, or what you love doing, then you look at, let's say, for example, a field that will accommodate those things. And if there's a field that you land on, then what you would do is that you will reduce the skill gap. And how do you do that? You learn whatever skill it is that the other position has, or you develop. So, for example, you wanted to do nursing, ended up doing some bookkeeping, went to an accounting firm, and now, at a trust company, you still took your accounting certification, right? And then don't forget, leadership is key too. Communication and relationships, they're key. So these are the transferable skills that you were referring to that help you go from the accounting position to the trust company.
As an HR professional, I assume you're in an association with other HR professionals,
yes,
because that's the norm. Across your counterparts in the area, what is it that they're saying they're missing or looking for from employees or potential employees? What is the key skills that's needed? Is it technical, people skills? Is it leadership? Is it initiative? What would you say in your conversations are the things you're saying, boy, I wish we could see more of this?
Emotional intelligence. So with emotional intelligence, you're able to see a lot of things, right? We have individuals that are driven, that bring results, but we have a lot of tension sometimes in organizations. And that is because we've found that a lot of people are not self-aware, and self-awareness is a part of emotional intelligence. So I don't know if you know, but now emotional intelligence is becoming a very sought after thing, because we all believe that we're self-aware, but a lot of us, we are very low on emotional intelligence. So that is one of the key things, emotional intelligence, as well as being focused on the job. We have a lot of different distractions, social media, phones. We have a lot of young people that may be coming into the organization that may not have the right work ethics. So what we have to do is we have to train, right? And so these are the things that we're seeing, but clearly as HR professionals, because we could identify them, we provide the proper training. But with any training, the individual have to be a part of that. They have to want it.
For the person who's listening, who says, emotional intelligence, say what? What does that mean?
So emotional intelligence, it just speaks to, it's certain things. So it says, this is what I'm feeling, and I will regulate it, right? So for an example, and I'll just use you and I are having a conversation, and for some reason I'm getting upset. Now, emotional intelligence tells me, okay, instead of rowing or arguing back, instead of raising my voice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit and I'm going to calm myself. I'm going to self-regulate, and I'm going to have a conversation with you so that it doesn't escalate, right? Emotional intelligence also is feeling or knowing what the other person is, where they're coming from. So yes, Charlene and I are arguing, but exactly what is going on with Charlene? Maybe she had a bad day. Maybe she's going through something. So emotional intelligence is when you are self-aware, or you understand yourself with, what I guess
triggers.
Yeah, triggers you, make you mad, what causes the feelings to shift. That's a part of emotional intelligence, as well as being able to see what somebody else is going through. So empathy for the other person. Self-intelligence is also about regulating those things. So self-regulation, which is is one of the key things for emotional intelligence. You have to be in a position to have a situation and be able to handle it in the right way.
So what I'm hearing on the wealth journey then is the 9 to 5 is more than just showing up.
Yes.
It's being present, it's solving problems, it's being innovative, it's advancing yourself, it's exercising discipline, and then using that would be what I would argue, the earnings from that you manage towards wealth, towards the next position. As we close out, if there is one thing you would say to anybody, whether they're just starting the job, been on the job on a while, and potentially suffering the burnout we talked about, considering whether they need to shift to another job, if we're considering that the 9 to 5 is where we do in fact start to build our wealth, what are you saying to the person so that they make the most out of wherever they are or wherever they're trying to be?
I would say to them, shift your mindset, right? And shift your mindset to a growth mindset, to a development mindset. when I say that, I mean, okay, come up with a plan. Do you want to stay to this 9 to 5, or do you want to excel? What do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the position that you're in, or do you want to be promoted? So come up with a plan as to what you want to do. And once you've already have that plan, then, start making steps towards that plan.
Actionable steps.
Actionable steps. Also, too, if you're trying to do a side job on the 9 to 5, and I should have mentioned this, make sure that you are not, you're still being productive on the 9 to 5. Make sure that you're still giving to your employer what you said you would give to your employer. And once you can do that, then use your extra time in order to, propel into your side job.
And finally, is there anything you know now that you wished you knew when you walked through the door on your first job?
Well, I think communication and building relationships. I think that was the key. Well, that was the key for me. I didn't know it back then, but I mean, I know it now. So it took me a while to actually, start building relationships and actually communicating properly. So I would say that those were the two key things for me.
Lashonda Seymour, HR Manager, thank you so much for being with us today. I really enjoyed the conversation. And to you, our guests, we want to remind you, on your wealth journey, your 9 to 5 is a starting point, not the finish line. So use it well. Stay with us for Unlocked, where we will see this played out in action.
You never thought you'd be here, counting every dollar, questioning every financial decision, wondering if things will ever be better. But what if this setback is setting you up for the greatest comeback of your life? In her powerful new book, Staging Your Financial Comeback, Keys to Recovering from a Financial Crisis, Charlene Storr offers not just advice, but hope, direction, and the confidence to rise again.
Not every crisis is a financial crisis, but most crises will create a financial crisis.
Through real-life stories and practical proven steps, this book guides you from overwhelm to ownership, from barely making it to building a life of financial freedom. This isn't just a book. It's your roadmap to financial stability, dignity, and peace. Available now wherever books are sold. To help you unlock your freedom with exclusive tools, visit StorWealth.net. Your comeback starts now.
Looking to get your finances back on track? Your journey to financial freedom starts at StorWealth.net, your go-to hub for practical tools, resources, and strategies to help you take control of your money and your future. Click on the Know Your Numbers tab to begin building your financial plan. This free tool helps you get a clear picture of your finances by tracking what you own, what you owe, and how money flows in and out of your life. It's simple, private, and designed to give you clarity fast. Once you complete the exercise, head to the Request an Appointment page to book your free 30-minute consultation. We'll help you turn your numbers into a real plan, tailored to your goals, lifestyle, and challenges. Visit StorWealth.net today and take the first step toward building a confident and intentional financial life.
My major advice to anyone that's getting ready to or want to get into their own business, prepare, discipline yourself, pray, definitely be practical. You have to go out and make sure that you have a passion first for whatever you want to get into, because it's not going to work if you decide that because everyone else is doing this business or that business, you can't just go into a business. You have to make sure you have that passion, make sure that it's something that's going to take you in the long run, make sure it's a need, so that you're definitely supplying that need.
Welcome back. We continue the conversation starting with your 9 to 5. We closed out the key segment on the statement that on your wealth journey, your 9 to 5 is a starting point, not the finish line. What does that actually look like in life? When do those habits unlock new doors? Today, I'm joined by Lynette Williams, a former financial services employee, now self-employed nail technician and a landlord. She is proof that the 9 to 5 is a launching pad for so much more. Lynette, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having me, Charlene. Thank you so much.
Let's start at the beginning. What kind of work were you doing prior to running your own business?
Well, I had started out in financial services, namely offshore banking, and I've been in several offshore banking institutions over my adult life. And I've always had a passion for having my own business. So I just use that as my launching pad, as you say. Mm-hmm. But yes, that's where I was.
So your mindset was always, this is temporary. You never envisioned that you will always stay in a job.
That was always my mindset. I loved what I did. Yes, I gave it my all, but I've always had the passion to own my own business. Let me take you back. Can I take you back just to my childhood, where it all started? I grew up with my grandmother being a self-employed person. She was a baker. She was a landlady. She's a seamstress.
Wow.
Then my father was a contractor. He had his own construction business. He was a pilot. So this is what I grew up watching. This is the passion that was instilled in me. And even as a child, I told my mother during my summer breaks, I'm not going to look for a summer job. I'm just going to sell ice cream and cups and baggies, which were frozen treats for us back in our day.
We're in the same age bracket.
I so you know, those. Right? Yeah, so I've always had the mindset of a little entrepreneur.
Okay. Yes. So what habits do you think helped you in your financial services business? Or maybe I should say, which habits do you still exercise even as a self-employed person that you did when you were on your 9 to 5?
Well, definitely, Charlene, I would say discipline, faithfulness. I had to be faithful even then. Tithing, that was a key that I adapted even in financial services, even in my banking and career. I also would look at being self-motivated. I was always a person that had to work alone. What I did, I had to motivate myself to do what I had to do. So I couldn't wait for my boss to come and say, well, get on it. I had to do what I had to do. So even now in my business, it's not about waiting for anybody to motivate you to get those clients, to get in your salon, to do what you have to do. I loved what I do. So the passion was there.
Now, I'm going to assume financial services industry in the Bahamas, where you work, is a fairly well paid position. What was the mindset when you determined that it was time to walk away from that? Were there any fears, or were you so confident that this is going to work that it was not a big deal?
Charlene, I'll be honest with you, not to be so super spiritual. I did have a fear. I did have apprehension, because it's like, you're making some good money here to just jump into doing your own business, starting from scratch, having to really build your clientele. So really what I did is, during the time that I was on my job, I built my clientele in the evenings.
So you didn't just jump off. You saw this thing moving.
No, I built my clientele in the evenings, work in the evenings while I had that time. I asked questions. I sought persons who were already in that field, who were already in their careers, doing their own businesses. And then I would get the information needed for, what do I need to do? How do I go about it? then of course savings. You had to put your monies up. You had to build that nest egg so that you have something to launch your small business or big business.
So what I'm hearing then is you're on that 9 to 5. There were disciplines and habits that you learned that you brought with you in your business.
Yes.
During that 9 to 5, you were using the monies you earned to save so that you can invest in this business.
Yes, exactly.
Side question. Is there anything that you were required to do consistently on the job that you really didn't have an appreciation for, but looking back now, you would say that particular habit or requirement has caused you to excel where you are now?
Well, I think back in my work days, I did not really appreciate the deadlines, the pressure of the deadlines. I know it had to have been done, but being the employee, you did not understand as much where deadlines had to be met, where you had to work as a team. I'm self-employed, a sole proprietor, so I don't have a team.
Right.
But I understand the importance of the deadlines because you're dealing with other person's time now. You're dealing with having to be on it so that you don't have other persons being late because you're late. So time management was definitely.
Did you enjoy overtime on your 9 to 5?
Yes, I did.
You enjoyed overtime?
No, I enjoyed the money.
Oh, you enjoyed the money.
But I can't really say I enjoyed the overtime because what happened is overtime then dug into my time.
Yes.
Because, of course, being fair, I gave Caesar his.
Yes.
So when that time came that, okay, it's off time, I wanted to get into my business. So
And do you work overtime now?
Oh, much time, much overtime. And my business, if I must just say, my business is attached to my home. So, of course, as far as persons concerned, you're always there.
Oh, so you're never off.
Yeah, you're always there.
For someone listening, currently in the 9 to 5 and thinking, I want to make a shift. I want to do something different. It's time to move out into something else. What would be your advice to them?
My major advice to anyone that's getting ready to or want to get into their own business, prepare, discipline yourself, pray, definitely be practical. You have to go out and make sure that you have a passion first for whatever you want to get into, because it's not going to work if you decide that because everyone else is doing this business or that business, you can't just go into a business. You have to make sure you have that passion, make sure that it's something that's going to take you in the long run, make sure it's a need, so that you're definitely supplying that need, because it's going to phase out if it's not a need, if it's not something that you're going to be able to constantly provide that service for, if it's a service business. So that would be some of the main things I would say.
So I know you're Lynette Williams, former financial services administrator, I think was the position.
Yes.
Now nail tech, and I think it's
caterer. I have a catering
landlord.
business and landlord.
If someone wanted to connect with you, how do they find you?
Okay, well, I am on the platforms of Instagram and Facebook under Hot Nails by Lynn. Or you can also find my other business, my catering business, Creative Quiches and Cheesecakes. I can also be reached on 426-4133, my cell phone, which is also my WhatsApp number. And you can also email me at hotnails@yahoo.com. Thank you.
Well, I can definitely speak for Hot Nails.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you, everybody. Join us again next time on StorWealth Conversation.
You never thought you'd be here, counting every dollar, questioning every financial decision, wondering if things will ever be better. But what if this setback is setting you up for the greatest comeback of your life? In her powerful new book, Staging Your Financial Comeback, Keys to Recovering from a Financial Crisis, Charlene Storr offers not just advice, but hope direction, and the confidence to rise again.
Not every crisis is a financial crisis, but most crises will create a financial crisis.
Through real-life stories and practical proven steps, this book guides you from overwhelm to ownership, from barely making it to building a life of financial freedom. This isn't just a book. It's your roadmap to financial stability, dignity, and peace. Available now wherever books are sold. To help you unlock your freedom with exclusive tools, visit StorWealth.net. Your comeback starts now.